Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm bringing you my first ever book haul, which means I've purchased some books and I'm about to tell you which books I bought, why I bought them, and my expectations for them. So maybe hopefully at the end of the video you'll get some new books on your TBR pile. Jumping straight into my most recent purchase, it's Chinese Myths and Tales by the Epic Tales collection from Flame Tree Publishing. Okay, so this Epic Tales collection has several books, and this one is about Chinese myths and tales. Dragons and phoenixes, demons and spirits, pygmies and giants, and a whole host of gods, goddesses, immortals, heroes, and saints. China may have no organized pantheon or complete epic literature, but the myths and legends that survived the oral tradition to be finally written down, together with later tales, evience the truly rich and wondrous imagination of this culture, from the birth of humankind to the triumph of good over evil. And I mean, look at this dragon. It's so beautiful. By now, I think it's pretty evident that I love mythology, but I've decided that I didn't want to stick just to the Greeks. I would like to know about more Asian mythology and African mythology as well, and so this seemed like a good start. Now on to some more stuff. The first book that I'm going to show you is The Snows of Kilimanjaro by Ernest Hemingway. Men and women of passion and action fight, question, love, and die. From a haunting tragedy on the snow-capped peak of Kilimanjaro to brutal sensationalism in the bullring. From rural America with its deceptive calm to the heart of war-ravaged Europe, this collection of stories depicts characters and events with intense power and realism. This book has 17 stories, the last one of which is divided into 2 parts. I love me some Hemingway. I think by now it's been pretty obvious that I do, and I feel like I just want to read every single work that Hemingway has ever written, and I think that's okay. Now the next book that I bring you is The Illustrated Man by Ray Bradbury. Now ever since I read Fahrenheit 451, I've been obsessed with Ray Bradbury. I have Something Wicked This Way Comes also to read there, and so I'm super excited to read this one as well. If Il Greco had painted miniatures in his prime, no bigger than your hand, infinitely detailed, with his sulphurous color and exquisite human anatomy, perhaps he might have used this man's body for his art. Yet the illustrated man has tried to burn the illustrations off. He's tried sandpaper, acid, and a knife. Because, as the sun sets, the pictures glow like charcoals, like scattered gems. They quiver and come to life. Tiny pink hands gesture, tiny mouths flicker as the figures enact their stories. Voices rise, small and muted, predicting the future. Blending magic, imagination, and truth with Bradbury's rich storytelling skills and beautifully crafted imagery, these are startling and thought-provoking visions of humankind's destiny. Now, I absolutely adore him. I love the way he writes. I love that he doesn't need too many words to give you so many thoughts, and I think that's pretty special, and so I'm really excited about reading this one. On to the next one. So the next book is actually a recommendation that comes from Jack Edwards. I think about a year now, he did a video where he talked about this book, and I got so intrigued by it. It's 84 Charing Cross Road by Helen Humph. So begins the delightfully reticent love affair between Miss Helen Humph of New York and Messrs. Marks and Company, sellers of rare and second-hand books at 84 Charing Cross Road, London. For 20 years, this outspoken New York writer and Frank Dole, a rather more restrained London bookseller, carry on an increasingly touching correspondence to the point where, in early December 1949, Helen is suddenly worried that the 6-pound ham she sent off to augment British rations will arrive in a kosher office. Soon they are sharing more personal news about Frank's family and Humph's career. No doubt their letters would have continued, but in 1969 the firm's secretary informed Helen that Frank Dole had died. In the collection's penultimate entry, Helen Humph urges a tourist friend, if you happen to pass by 84 Charing Cross Road, kiss it for me. I owe it so much. This seems like the type of story where you will just fall in love with someone's life or someone's love. And I'm all here for it. It includes books and a bookshop, And I think it's so sweet, the concept, that I'm also intrigued by the fact that it is structured through letters. And so I'm very eager to read this book. Next up, I am so excited about this book. I've been wanting to read it for a really long time, and it's Walden by Henry David Thoreau. In 1845, Thoreau, a Harvard-educated 28-year-old, went to live by himself in the woods in Massachusetts. He stayed for over 2 years, living self-sufficiently in a small cabin built with his own hands. Walden is his personal account of the experience, in which he documents the beauty and fulfillment to be found in the wilderness, and his philosophical and political motivations for rejecting the materialism which continues to define our modern world. Now, this was first published in 1854, so 9 years after he wrote it. And can you imagine how sick of life he must have been in 1845 to have gone to live in the woods, because people were already materialistic. I'm actually immensely intrigued by this book because I myself have thought so many times, what if one day I would just pick up a few of my things and go live in the middle of nowhere, basically. And it's very interesting because I am fairly curious about how to build, but houses especially, because I think it's tricky that you get plumbing and electricity, and I adore it. I adore reading about it and learning more, and I've questioned several times how it would be like for me to just one day pack up a few of my things, go and build myself a house in the middle of nowhere with no one around and live self-sustainably. And so I'm super excited for this one. This book is Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. And it's introduced by Zadie Smith, which is also fairly interesting. When, at 16, Janie is caught kissing shiftless Johnny Taylor, her grandmother swiftly marries her off to an old man with 60 acres. Janie endures 2 stifling marriages before she finally meets the man of her dreams, who offers not diamonds, but a packet of flowering seeds. At the time, I was very intrigued by this book because I had no idea what it was about, even after reading the synopsis. I still don't, and I still am fairly curious about it, which is something to say about a book. Now on to our very last one. I saved not the best for last, but the one I'm most excited, I would have to say. It's Graham Norton's Homestretch. I love Graham Norton. I think he's one of the best talk show hosts that we have currently. I think Graham Norton is a true communicator. He just has this way of flawlessly involving everyone in conversation and making everyone so comfortable, and he actually does his research before he speaks to people, and it's so interesting because they get to talk about more than their work when they go to his show. Because I like him so much as a TV talk show host, I was fairly interested when I found out that he had written a book. It is 1987 and a small Irish community is shattered by a terrible accident. Young Connor is one of the survivors, but staying among the angry and the mourning is more than he can bear. He leaves the only place he knows, taking his secrets with him. But the unspoken longings and regrets that have come to haunt those left behind will not be silenced, and before long, Connor will have to confront his past. Now, because I see Graham Norton as such a funny, light-hearted, and sweet man, I have a hard time understanding how he's going to take such heavy subjects like loss and grief and survivor syndrome, apparently, from the terrible accident that happens, and how he's going to put it into words, because I've also read some really good feedback from this book. This type of study on the human condition is very interesting to me. It's right up my alley. I love things that make me reflect, and I'm hoping that this will be one of those books. Okay, with that being said, here we have all of the books that I've purchased recently and that I'm very excited to read. Thank you very much for watching this video. I am very grateful. I hope that you keep coming back. If you've liked any of these books, or if you have read any of these books, please leave down in the comments below some ideas on them, or if you are expecting to read any of them, how are your expectations for them? That's also very interesting for me to know. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, And go follow me on all of my other socials. I'll link them down below. And thank you so much for sticking by. Also, don't forget to keep yourself informed about the Russian invasions over Ukraine. If you can help in any way by raising awareness or by donating, whether it's money or clothes or medicine, whatever it is, I'm sure it's really helpful. Bye.